Hello all. So welcome to the second video in this video series of the indiaboardgames.net roll and write contest. Today we're going to talk about a game called Sabotage the Raj, an entry in the India Board Games Design Contest. The game is designed by Mohit Patel and its artwork is by Chirag Arora. The game is set in the colonial era and when India was under the control of the British Raj. Sparks of rebellion are flaring across the country. You seek to ignite the nation and overthrow the oppressors. It's your responsibility to help free up the territories that have been occupied by the British and become a part of India's freedom struggle. The objective of this game is to free 6 out of 10 territories by the end of 8 turns. And you do this by allocating dice to different tracks and using dice values required by each territory. This is a solo playing game. So let's look at the game components. You get a player sheet. You need to have 5 dice, 1 for the British power and 4 for the resources. The 4 different resources that you have are influence, money, rebellion and weapon. This is your turn counter. You have 8 turns in which you need to free 6 territories. So there are 10 territories on the map. From there, you need to free up 6 of them in 8 turns. It's going to be a very difficult challenge. So let's get started. To begin, we need to take one die, roll it to find out our starting location. The die turns up to be a 5. That means we start from Dandi. If it's a 5 or a 6, that's where we start. Other rolls would give us 2 other different starting locations. This is the first roll. Seems like a pretty good roll. Now I need to take 4 of these dice and allocate them to different resources. I'm going to allocate a 5 to rebellion. Next, I'm going to allocate another 5 to influence, the 3 to money, and the 6 on the weapons. After I've done that allocation, I need to roll the British power die, which turns up to be a 4. That means that I have to deduct 4 resources from my resource tracker. So I'm going to move the weapons down by 4. So it's now at a 2. So just slide it down and that takes care of the British power die. Now I use the remaining resources to make a move. I'm going to try to free up Dandi, for which I need 3 money and 4 rebellion. I'll move the money die to 3 and it's out of the board because it's exhausted. I'll move the rebellion down by 4 on the resource tracker. It remains at 1 and that means that I have freed Dandi. I can cross out the name and fill in the small triangle at the bottom right corner, indicating that it's a territory that is now freed. I still have the influence which lets me move. I can move up to 5 spots. I'm going to cross out 4 of those in order to reach Bombay. Just stay 1 block away from Bombay. I slide the influence die down to 1 for taking those 4 steps. Because I've freed the Dandi territory, I get a power up, which is 1 free triangle that I can use for my next move. I put that across for the money, so the next time I want to add a pip value, I can fill that triangle. That brings me to the end of the first turn, so I end the turn counter there. I can leave the die as it is, or I can move them back to the pool to roll them again for the second turn. So let's roll for turn 2. We're trying to free the Bombay territory now, and as a reminder, we need 6 money and 3 weapon to free Bombay. So we put 6 value on the money resource tracker. We put the 5 dice on the weapons. We put 3 on influence, so that helps us move. And we put the 2 on rebellion. We don't need rebellion in this turn. It's now time to roll the British power die. That turns out to be a 4. How do we adjust our resources in order to take care of the British power die? I'll move the weapons by 1, rebellion 2, and that takes it off the board. And then I can move the influence down by 1, so the influence is now at 2. I use one of the influence values to get into Bombay. That's the only way we can free a territory. You have to actually reach there. Then I use the money dice and I use 3 from the weapon. And then I'm freed Bombay. I cross out the name and I free up the triangle. I'm thinking I should go to Champaran next or Jhansi, but Champaran seems a little bit less on the resource requirements. So I'll decide to go to Champaran, and Champaran requires a slightly heavier rebellion roll. So I'm going to put the power up triangle on the rebellion. I still have one movement that I can do, so I use that to take one step towards Champaran. I put all the dice back in. Now because I've freed up Dandi and Bombay, I can circle all those steps or the pathways between them. What that means is if I ever do need to come back on this path, I don't have to use my influence die and I can freely move on that. Okay, let's roll for turn 3. Not the best of rolls that we need to free up Champaran, which we need 6 rebellion and 3 money. So I'm going to put the 6 on the rebellion tracker, the 2 on the money. We could use 1 power up, 2 for the movement, and 1 for weapons. Let's roll the British power die now. Hopefully it doesn't come up. Ooh, that's a 6. That's gonna get us into deep trouble and not let us free Champaran in this move. I'm gonna take the weapons die out, so that's 1. I still need to slide off 5 resources. Looks like I have to do the money as well, so that's 3. Influence, do we need the influence? Yeah, we might need the influence to move, so let's move the rebellion down by 3. Oh, I'd forgotten to mark off turn 2 earlier, so we're on turn 3 now. I think that's all I can do in turn 3. I could use the movement die and cross off 2 movement points. I'm just 1 block away from Champaran next, and that's the end of turn 3. Now I could leave that 6 number die on the 3rd resource tracker for rebellion, so I could use the number 3 in the future, but I don't need 3. I need 6 on the rebellion, so I'm going to move that back into the die pool for me, and we'll begin turn 4 by rolling the dice. Oh, doesn't look very promising again. With this dice roll, freeing up Champaran seems to be slightly difficult, so we'll use the max die to move and put it on influence now. Let's try to move to Barakpur. Barakpur has a slightly less requirements to move, free it up, so it requires 4 rebellion and 3 weapons. The British power die this round turned out to be a 1, so I'll move 1 weapon down. From Barakpur we can move, from Champaran we can move up to Barakpur. So I'm going to mark off those using the influence power die. I still have one left. I'm going to mark off turn 4. For turn 5, there are some unique requirements which are printed on the play sheet. So if we have freed up more than 4 territories, we will add 1 to the power die when we roll it. But if we freed up 2 or less territories, then we subtract 1 from the power die. In our case, we have only freed up 2 territories. So we will have to subtract 1 when we roll the British power die. I'm rolling the resources now. Placing the 4 on the rebellion, then the 2 on the money. Let's move 1 to influence and 1 to weapon. See what the British power die comes up. It came to a 2, which means I reduce it to a 1 because it's the 5th turn. This combination does not give me sufficient resources to free up Barakpur as well. So I'm gonna just move all the dice back into the resource pool or the die pool. I'm gonna mark off turn 5 as well. I'm gonna leave the rebellion die there because I need 5 rebellion to free up Barakpur, and this is at a 4. I have 1 power up as well. So that will take me to a 5 comfortably. This is rolling for turn 6. I have rolled only 3 resource die now. Barakpur requires 3 weapons, so I have a 4 there. We have 3 rebellion that will help me move, and 3 money, which I don't need this round. Let's roll the British power die, and it's a 1. That's great. So I'm just going to move the money tracker down by 1 because we don't need money to free up Barakpur. I'm going to use 1 influence to move into Barakpur, and from there then I can use the 4 rebellion needed to free up Barakpur and 3 weapons needed to free up Barakpur. I cross off that name because we've freed up this territory, and I fill in the triangle as well. We need to move into Kolkata next, but I'm going to cross off, move all the dice to the dice pool and cross off this turn as well. What I did was I did have 1 free triangle or the power up for freeing this territory. So I think I'm going to use that on influence because I need a lot of steps to move into Kolkata from Barakpur. So this is turn 7 now. It's a very decent roll this turn. So we need at least 4 steps to move into Kolkata. I'm going to use the 5 number die on influence for the movement. We need 6 money to free up Kolkata, so I'm going to use the number 5 die there. We also need 3 rebellion, so I'm going to move that number 4 die on the rebellion tracker. And we don't need weapons for this turn, so I'm going to put the remaining 4 die there. Let's roll the British power die. It's a 2, which is not that bad. Given we don't need weapons, I'm going to move that down to a 2. Going to use my movements and slide that down by 4. We reach Kolkata and we can now free Kolkata up. Going to use the power up to get the the money to 6. That's what we need to free up Kolkata. And then rebellion down to 1. That's 3 rebellion needed, and Kolkata is now free. filling in that triangle and crossing off the name to free up Kolkata. This should bring us to the end of turn 7, which is the penultimate turn. Before we do that, we also have one movement that we can use to move towards Amritsar. And it's better that we do use it now and move one step out of Kolkata. And the power up that we get, we'll use it for the weapon because we need weapons to free up Amritsar. Crossing off turn 7, and now this is the final turn. If I can get all the dice in my hand, again the die moves out, but that's the 4 that we've rolled for the final turn. We need at least 4 influence to move into Amritsar, and Amritsar requires us to have 3 rebellion and 4 weapons. So I'm going to keep the number 6 on the weapons, then some on the rebellion, 1 on money, and 3 on influence. I'm going to roll the British power die. It's a 1, and that's a very good roll for us. We don't need the money for this turn, so we're going to move that off. We're going to use 4 by adding that 1 power up for influence. Use the 4 steps and move into Amritsar. Cross off the path. We are now in Amritsar, and we just need to cross off 4 weapons. Was it a 6 or a 4? I think it was a 4 that I rolled. I'm not sure. Or a 6. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. Even if we go with 4, we need 4 weapons that we get for Amritsar, and we'll use the 3 on the rebellion. So by getting that 1 power up, we get 3, and we can then free up Amritsar in this last turn. I will fill in the triangle for confirming that we've freed up Amritsar. We need 6 territories to win, and we've freed up a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 territories only in this game. So unfortunately, we did not win this game, but this was the solo print and play game from Mohit Patel called Sabotage the Raj. Thank you for participating in this contest, Mohit. And thank you all for watching this video.